Hi, welcome to the Teleporto channel. My name is Zhenya and I am co-founder of immigration service company Teleporto. Probably you have already seen our video where we discussed the taxation system in Portugal with a NEWCO company expert. Today we invited them again to talk about the incorporation of the company on Madeira Islands. You probably didn't know that, but you can get a 5% tax if you incorporate company here, and it's not the only benefit. So keep watching this video to know more about the benefits of conducting business on Madeira. Andrea, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, so Andrea, tell us please and our viewers what you do in the NEWCO company.
Okay, so I'm a partner and director of this NEWCO Corporate Services. I'm a lawyer for over 20 years now. This is started as a family business with my father, also a lawyer. This is over 80 years old now, but still helping out. But it has grown since the late 80s. And we not only provide corporate services as a whole, but also to individuals looking to relocate into Portugal and to Madeira in particular.
Oh, perfect. Family business is always very interesting stuff, and especially, as I understand, Claudia told us that you're working already 30 years, yes? You're 30 years on the market. I mean,
yes. I finished I'm born and raised in Madeira, then left Madeira to Lisbon to law school. And then we did a couple of years outside and just advancing my learning namely on tax and corporate side, and then came back to carry along the family's business and making it grow, which I believe we have been successful since.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's great. So, and let's discuss Madeira. Yeah, so it's pretty hot topic right now. Yeah, about establishing a company at Madeira. Yeah, and everything. So there are of course a lot of tax havens around. Yeah, like. Most popular like Emirates right now or Cyprus. Yeah, but what are main advantages of establishing a company here at Madeira?
Fair enough. That's a good question. First of all, we can speak about the tax benefits itself. So you have a 5% corporate income tax. You have a withholding exemption on the payments of dividends to the shareholders, non-resident shareholders. All withholding exemption on payments to suppliers on any payments made to outside of Portugal, so non-Portuguese residents, entities and individuals. Also, you have this very good business environment, a government which is pro-business and looking to help out companies to set up here, not instead of making a hassle and a lot of red tape. It's quite the opposite. You have also direct flights to all major cities and more than 10 daily flights to Portuguese mainland, which besides being an island, you have a 1 hour and 30 minutes of flight away to be in the center of Europe. So making it less hard to set up here in Madeira and do the business in comparison to the central Europe. Now, comparing usual suspects or tax havens, like you mentioned, the Emirates or Caribbeans, BVI and so forth, I think you can't even compare it. So Madeira is part of Portugal. All the Portuguese legal system, which is within the EU, Madeira and Portugal as a whole is within the European Union internal market, available to VAT EU system, Eurozone as well. And of course, if you are dealing with Emirates or any of other tax havens, you will also be subject to anti-abusive legislation, and which is very, very hard to make business with such jurisdictions. Regarding Cyprus is still within the EU, but I would say, I'm not an expert in Cyprus tax system, but still there's a lot of connotations or red flags rising from using entities or SPVs from Cyprus. It's still, I would say, further away than Madeira is. And the Madeira, for at least you have the certainty of the tax regime. So this tax regime has been previously approved by the European Commission. You have a deadline, at least for now, until the end of 2028. So it is not subject to change or on the yearly budget of the Portuguese state. So various parties, left and right wing parties, have been succeeding in the Portuguese government, but the Madeira tax regime has always been steady and certain. So it does not touch, regardless of the increase of the rates, on the general rates of the corporate income tax and so forth. So you have this certainty and stability, which is very important for foreign investors.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Actually, the Cyprus right now, they started increasing their tax rates because they want to crawl out from this blacklist, because it's still on a lot of blacklists even in Europe. And the same situation with Emirates, they used to be a tax haven, but they actually trying right now to make their taxes in Europe and like in other jurisdictions in order to operate there.
Or at least having some.
Yeah. And actually, I want to dive into the 5% tax. You mentioned the 5%, but as I understand, there are some certain requirements to get the 5% tax.
True.
Can you tell
True. When the Madeira and the Portuguese state negotiated this tax regime, basically Madeira, as an outermost region, ultra-peripheral region of the European Union, is entitled to set up some conditions to mitigate the fact that it's away from the mainland, has a small internal market, and so forth. So when this was negotiated, it was agreed that some substance requirements were to be put in the Portuguese legislation in order for the companies to benefit from this tax scheme. So it has been changing throughout the regimes. Presently, you need to have one local employee. So this employee needs to be tax resident in Madeira, needs to earn at least the minimum salary, which for now it's around 850 euros a month, and it does not need to be Portuguese, just has to be resident in Madeira. So any foreigner who becomes resident in Madeira and employed or director of a Madeira IBC company, then it will already fulfill this substance requirement. Aside from this, you have the need to make a minimum investment. So the minimum investment is only required whenever the company hires less than 6 employees. And if that's the case, then this investment must be made in fixed assets. The fixed assets must be tangible or intangible. If you are talking about tangible, you are talking about properties, land, real estate, machinery.
In Madeira?
In Madeira, should be in Madeira. That should be in Madeira. When you are talking about intangible assets, fixed assets, so this should be, you are talking about know-how, IP, patents, licenses, and so forth. The investment, these fixed assets, should remain on the balance sheet of the company as long as the company is benefiting from the tax scheme within the IBC. So the 75,000 euros, I would say, is not that much. Of course, depends on the business itself, but the creation of local substance is more and more important nowadays when you talk about international tax planning. And I would say that Madeira and Portugal was one of the first to put in the law what is to be seen as, or what are the requirements, what is the economic substance that the company must realize locally. Of course, there should be an adequate business structure to manage its own business, and this is not objective. So every business is its own business, and the company must have its substance in order to have its performance, in order to realize its income.
So as I understand, there are three main things you need to make before setting up a company at Madeira. So you must have at least one local, employee.
Exactly,
He
one
can
local
be
employee.
whoever, even a foreigner, but tax resident on Madeira. So the second thing is an investment in amount of 75,000, in amount 75,000 euros. And the third, you must have a substance, like it
Exactly.
should be something what is operatable, like a real business.
Exactly. So if you are on a simple example, if you are providing architectural services, simple example, or software designing, if you just have one administrative person who does not, or a director who is not an expert on such business, so who is providing it? So there should be someone who is related to the business itself.
I see.
That the
So your government like check it really, like a background of the person who is providing services and everything.
That is not checked normally. So, but the company itself should make its own assessment and create the substance locally in order to be able to reply to any queries, to any challenges that any foreign tax jurisdictions ask or challenge the structure itself. Normally not from the Portuguese perspective, but from other jurisdictions.
And about the first thing you mentioned, about the employee, who must be a tax resident at Madeira. If we have a situation that a shareholder, a founder of the company, he's from the mainland of Portugal, for example, and he's creating company here at Madeira, and he hires, for example, a secretary who is a resident of Madeira. So it's enough to meet the requirements, of the tax regime.
So the residency of the shareholder is not relevant whatsoever for the activity of the company. So he's investing capital on a company and appointing directors and hiring employees, and the directors will hire the employees in order to make a structure who will be able to provide some income and have some profit to earn the profits himself afterwards. So the place where the shareholder is located is irrelevant for the purpose of the application of these tax benefits. So what is important to know is that the exemption on the withholding tax on the payment of dividends to the shareholders is only applicable to non-Portuguese resident shareholders. So if that shareholder is a resident on the mainland, he will face the withholding tax under the general regime. 28% withholding tax. If he's resident in Spain, if he's resident in Ukraine, if he's resident in Austria, or whatever, he will be exempted from the withholding tax.
So he will pay zero in this
Zero.
case. Okay, perfect.
It should be mentioned as well that if that shareholder is resident in a tax haven, according to the Portuguese blacklist, which included are the usual suspects, all the Caribbean islands, BVI and so forth, then there's an aggravated and anti-abusive legislation that foresees that withholding tax rate will be increased to 35.
To 35. So, for example, if I'm not tax resident of tax haven, like BVI or something like that, I will have to pay a 35 in this case.
Just on your personal income tax.
On my personal income tax here in Portugal.
Yes, the company when paying it will withhold such amount. But the activity of the company itself will still remain as the 5%.
So in order to understand that whether the jurisdiction in the blacklist or not, it's possible to check just the blacklist of Portugal Republic, in this case.
Yes, exactly.
And if you see the jurisdictions there, then you must be subject to 35%.
Exactly.
Okay.
That can be checked before.
And for example, if a director of the company, has an address here at Madeira, but physically he lives somewhere at the mainland. It will do, or in this case, you need to find someone here. Tricky question.
It's a tricky question, but we can go through it in an easy way and try to make it simple. So there is no need for the director to be resident in Madeira. Mm-hmm. No need whatsoever. He can reside on Portugal mainland. He can reside in anywhere in the world. Now, the thing of the effective management of the company, it is important that the directors and the major decisions on the business of the company are made in Madeira. So he does not need to be here locally 365 days, but to be here on a regular basis, and the important decisions on the management of the company are done whilst he is here, or they, if it's a board of directors, as long as they are in Madeira during those decisions are made, then I'd say that the effective management of the company is not in any way damaged, harmed in any way.
So annual meetings of the shareholders should be held here.
We always advise the shareholders and the directors, board meetings to be here, as long as there are important meetings or decisions on the performance or the business itself of the company.
Perfect. And okay, I got it about employees and everything, but about the investment, you mentioned 75,000, and it should be made immediately when the company is incorporated, or there is some period of time?
Exactly. So the creation of employment should be made on the first 6 months of activity. And the investment should be made within the first 2 years of activity. So the investor and the company has plenty of time to look into what is needed for its activity, to make an assessment of the local market and so forth, to see what are the best options to make the investment. It's important to say also that the company must maintain its investment whilst benefiting from the tax regime. Otherwise, it would not be seen as a fixed asset. It would be seen like a stock, for example. If you buy a real estate and sell within 6 months, making a capital gain, so this is not looked as an investment. That is also important to make reference.
Okay, so the investment itself, in what you invested, should be on your balance sheet for some tangible period of time. Okay, exactly. And you mentioned tangible and intangible assets, Tangible, it's quite clear, it's something on Madeira. But about intangible one, it's also quite a tricky question, because intangible asset, you can't actually touch it, it's nowhere. So, for example, if I'm buying an intellectual property, some kind of license, a trademark from some company, let's say, I don't know, somewhere in European Union, Cyprus or in Germany. In this case, what would happen? Would it be considered like an investment in intangible asset, or intangible assets should also be provided by some entity inside of Madeira?
No, if for example, if we are talking about licenses that are available, like software and so forth, which are available in Madeira, we, on a conservative approach, advise everything to be purchased in Madeira. If you are talking about a trademark or a patent itself, which is not registered in Portugal, intellectual property register itself, then it is our opinion that it can be purchased outside. That should be made, again, on a conservative approach. This is not in the law, but we like to do it, make it very clear to our clients. A third-party evaluation on that IP, having evidence of the financial movement on the payment of that IP on its purchase, having it on the balance sheet, and effectively using the IP on the business of the company.
Yeah.
So in that sense, yes, especially speaking, if you are talking about the European Union, it would make no sense, according with all the European Union legislation and treaties, to make difference a purchase made in Portugal or Madeira and from a difference of a purchase made in Spain or Germany. So that would be against the European regulations, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So, as I understand, there are two main guidelines in this case. Yeah, the first guideline is a business purpose. Yeah, so this intangible asset should have a business purpose. And the second guideline, if, for example, there is the same patent, for example, in Portugal and the same patent somewhere in Great Britain, it's better to purchase it in Portugal.
I would say that it would make more sense. Connection with the Portuguese jurisdiction if everything can be made or purchased in Madeira. Yes, of course, we're talking about intangible assets. That's very more different. But then again, it's an option, and the client ultimately decides. We are here to put the cards on the table, advise on the eventual risks of its operation. We are here for over 30 years working on this business. We know how has the tax authority has been looking into those matters. We know who to talk to if anything arises, because I mean this is a local services provider, so we like to think ourselves like a boutique company who provides a very close relationship to our clients and advice in a very conservative way, in order not for the client to have any constraints or issues with the authorities in the middle term.
So it's really wise, yes, that you advise your clients in order everything to be correctly made, yeah, because it's always very important in the corporate and tax world, especially, yeah, because tax authorities can sometimes be very attentive to details, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, but as I understand, if you hire an employee and you live somewhere outside, it's totally okay as far as you made an investment, or at least have 6 employees, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, if you make the 6 employees, then you do not need to make the minimum investment.
Okay. And I want to talk right now a little bit about the operation of the company. Yeah, as I understand, this special tax regime is made in order the companies in Portugal would easier operate internationally. Yeah,
exactly.
Mm-hmm. But for example, if I create a company here, yeah, in order to get all the tax benefits, but operate at the main land of the Portugal, yeah. For example, I'm buying property at the mainland of the Portugal, renovate it and resell it. In this case, would I still be subject to the lower tax rate, or it would be considered like a tax evasion?
It's a very, very good question, because it often arises from our clients. And basically, an IBC company is firstly licensed for its activity. There's a whole broad of activities that can be licensed for the company to operate with, mainly excluding financial activities, banking activities, insurance activities, but pretty much all the rest can be made through a Madeira company. Again, with the condition that the operation should be with non-residents in Portugal. Now, the company itself may have operations outside the scope of the IBC of Madeira. Mm-hmm. So on the given example that you just asked, so the company may have real estate in Lisbon, Cascais, Porto, Algarve, and make its exploitation, renting, short-term rentals, alojamento local, and so forth. However, it should be perfectly clear that income should be taxed under the general regime. And if the real estate is located on the mainland, then the general corporate income tax rate should be applied to that income. Mm-hmm. Again, in Madeira, if the company buys real estate and makes short-term rentals, which is not available within the IBC of Madeira, because the operation is considered to be located here, then the tax rate to be applicable is the general rate in Madeira, which is 14.7, lower than the 21% in Portugal mainland. And if the company is effectively undergoing activities duly licensed within the IBC of Madeira, then all those activities are taxed under 5%. So in terms of accounting, you should segregate both in order to assess which taxable income is taxed under the 5% and which other should be taxed under the general regime rate.
So it's not everything so easy. Yeah, you can't just set up a company here, operate everywhere,
and have 5%.
Yeah,
that is not the case. That is not the case.
Okay, yeah, it's quite sad, but still quite fair. Yeah, probably.
Because the main purpose of the tax regime is to attract foreign investment into Madeira, is to attract qualified personnel into Madeira and to develop the small internal market of Madeira. If you would allow such kind of activities outside of Madeira and have employees outside of Madeira, it will get out of this purpose, and of course we would have the tax authorities on your tail and the European Commission on your tail, and that's not what we want. We want this Madeira tax regime to be seen as something very straightforward, very secure, and certain for our clients and for investors, so that they can be placed on an island that is very, very well connected to the mainland and to Central Europe, that has very good place to live. The prices are low in terms, when we are talking about creation of economic substance, you may discuss the wages, you may discuss the cost of having an office, and when you compare to Central Europe, for example, it's much, much less costly to create that substance here in Madeira.
It's quite clear, yeah. About the activity, yeah, just to clear out, you said that it should be held here at Madeira, yeah. But if, for example, the company provides some software services, yes, it's okay to provide them internationally, yeah, and to pay 5% in this case.
Yes, I mean, if the clients are the logic itself, if the clients should be outside,
yeah,
the software that you are developing, you are selling to a client elsewhere, outside of Portugal. But then, yes, as long as there's an adequate business structure of the Madeira, in Madeira, to perform those services from Madeira, then yes, definitely.
So, and your company helps with creating a...
That's our job, not only creation of the company, not only providing all the accounting and tax compliance, helping clients to find their offices if needed, recruitment services locally. There's a local university with partnership with American universities like Carnegie Mellon and so forth. So they're very qualified people, and the wages comparably to the other places in Europe are still very less and still very sought for. So yes.
Great. And about a little bit about the company. Yeah, I know that a lot of founders want company to pay for their expenses. Yeah, for some expenses like, I don't know, buying a car, buying an apartment, or renting an apartment. So, is it okay here? I mean, if that some of the founders use a company as their wallet, which, of course, not just for the wallet purposes, but operates as a normal company, but pay some of their expenses. How okay is it?
Okay, so expenses can be deducted from the income generated by the company as long as they are related to the generation of the income. That's the general rule. Okay, so as long as you follow that rule, you will be able to deduct. Now, if you go to the supermarket and buy just clothes and so forth, you have a huge chance that you get inspected and not accepted, that those expenses to be deducted from the corporate income of the
So
company.
you should just not. There are two ways actually. You should not just buy a clothes there, or you should not just deduct it. Yeah. So if you don't deduct it, it's okay. Yeah?
Exactly. So it should be from your personal side of the business, if it's effectively a personal thing that you are buying. If it's related with the corporate business, with the generation of the income, then you would be able to deduct.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. It's a really great overview of the company of Madeira. I guess our viewers already understand that there are a lot of benefits as far as you operate absolutely correctly and in compliance with the law. Yeah, and the last questions I probably have before we get to the tax side here about your clients. Yeah, I am Russian by the citizenship, yeah, and by born. And do you have a lot of Russian clients? Because it's quite difficult right now for Russians to set up companies and to operate in.
Yes.
In
Yes,
Europe.
I confirm that we do have several Russian clients. In fact, the EU restrictions on business with the Russians and Belarusians is not for the citizenship itself. It's for the people who are resident in Russia and Belarus. So anyone, for example, yourself, who you are a Russian residing in Portugal, you are more than welcome to do business with us, and that's what we have been doing nowadays. Is making no exception or not looking with the different eyes on those people. That there should be no reason to do so, in my opinion. But we should still strictly follow the EU regulations in terms of the restrictions following the most recent war.
And if, for example, I'm a resident of Portugal, have a residence permit in Portugal, I'm totally okay to do business with you in this case, and that's Madeira.
If you have your immigration status in compliance in Portugal, you are perfectly okay to do business with us, to set up a company in Madeira, to become a resident in Madeira. Should you want to, if you become a resident in Madeira and be appointed as a director of the company or be employed of the company, of the IBC company, you will already be fulfilling one of the substance requirements.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much
It was
for
a
all
pleasure,
the information.
to meet you.
Yeah, so now we'll get to the taxes. Yeah.
Yes, my colleague Roberto will
Okay.
enlighten you on that subject.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was useful for you. And unfortunately, our series of videos with NEWCO experts come to an end. We hope to make more videos with them soon, but if you already decided that you want to move to Portugal, please go to the link below and you will get a free consultation about an immigration to the Portugal. Also, if you want to get an individual consultation about your taxes, you can also use a promo code Teleporto Taxes and get a consultation for only 100 euros. And also, share this video with your friends, relatives, subscribe to our channels and leave a comment. My name is Zhenya. I hope to see you in our channel soon and see you in Portugal. Bye bye.